Good afternoon and welcome to Coping with COVID, updates on the pandemic and information to help you thrive and survive COVID-19. It's brought to you in part by SCDHEC and also the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities. I'm Tre Tailor, and sports and masks are the order of the day today. As you can see, City Councilman Ed McDowell is all masked up and ready to go. He's going to talk to us about the City of Columbia's proposal to do a mandatory mask proposal here in the City of Columbia. Plus, Rick Henry will let us know the future of sports. The WIS TV News Director will update us on all things sports post-COVID. We'll talk to these gentlemen next, but first, here are your COVID community updates. Don't forget that SCDHEC and Prisma are continuing their ongoing COVID testing. For the most up-to-date list, please visit scdhec.gov or prismahealth.org for locations, dates, and times for daily testing. Now, if you live in Richland or Clarendon County, you can actually call 911 Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. to get info on COVID testing. The DHEC Care Line is also available 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for all of your COVID questions. 855-472-3432 is the number for you to call. Now, if you would like to organize a COVID test at your event, please email acc-testing@dhec.sc.gov. You can see that information scrolling on the bottom of the screen, or call 803-673-6110. Now, in Columbia, South Carolina, there is a testing site tomorrow and Saturday at the Benedict College Stadium. That's Friday and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Benedict College Stadium. But SCDHEC has over 120 pop-up mobile testing sites through July 2nd. Please visit scdhec.gov and search mobile pop-up testing for all of those dates, times, and information. Don't forget, the election runoffs are Tuesday. That's right. Everyone doesn't have a runoff. So first go to scvotes.org to find out if your district is participating in a runoff. If it is, you can go ahead and vote now. Head on down to 2020 Hampton Street if you live in Columbia and vote early, or you can wait until Tuesday. Again, go to scvotes.org to find out if your region is participating, and if you live in another city or state, go to your voter registration area and find out what you need to do. That's your COVID community update. I'm Tre Tailor, and of course, Coping with COVID is sponsored in part by SCDHEC and the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities. Well, that's Ed. I want Rick. All righty. WIS TV Sports Director Rick Henry has been a fixture in South Carolina homes for almost 40 years, first working at WPDE in Florence, where he and I met, and then at WIS, where he made history by being named the first African-American sports director in South Carolina. Rick Henry, or Ricky as Perrine calls you, your wife calls you. Thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID.
Hey, Trey, it's my Taylor. Glad to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So listen, sports shut down in March. I mean, not only were we quarantined, but there was no more sports, of course, for fear that's a close contact thing. Sports are close contact.
Yeah, that was a very weird time back in March because you just couldn't keep up with all the breaking news on everything that was being canceled, postponed. It was just unbelievable to think that the Final Four, the men's and women's basketball tournament would be canceled. Colleges canceling all of their spring sports, and the only thing that I could even compare it to, the weekend after 9/11, when all sports shut down, everything, baseball, football, golf, NASCAR, but that was for only one weekend.
Right.
We're going. It's 3+ months now, and at least we have golf coming back. We've got the tournament in Hilton Head, which teed off today. NASCAR has run some races, and they're even starting to let a few fans back in. So slowly, we're trying to get back to normal, but I don't know how close we are to the day when we're completely normal. I think we still have a ways to go.
I don't even know, Rick, to be honest, if it will be normal as we knew it. I think it will be, as they say, a new normal. because according to, state epidemiologist Linda Bell, who was on the show yesterday, we'll be dealing with this at least through the end of the year because they're not looking at a vaccine before 2021. So I think everything is going to have to shift to a new normal. What are they doing with golf? Because you said golf is started back up this week.
Yeah, they had their first tournament back last week. And so what they're doing is they're testing all the participants every week, the golfers, the caddies, media members as well. And you have to have a temperature check every time you come onto the course. And they're not allowing any fans. Now, there are some fans who will get a chance to watch the Heritage this week because for everyone who's ever been down to Harbortown, if you've been to the Heritage, you have a lot of homes around the course.
Right.
So the permanent residents, all they have to do is step out on their back porches or patios, and they can watch the golf right there in front of them. And then you have a lot of people who rent homes. And so if you're lucky enough to get one of those homes right on the course, I ran a story yesterday about some folks who rented a home just a few yards away from the 18th green. So they were getting to see the golfers come by for their practice rounds.
That's awesome.
And now that the tournament has started, they'll see some actual golf live and in person. But for everyone else, you got to watch it on TV. Or if you have a boat, you can go out in the Calabogie Sound and join all the party people out there watching the action on the 18th green.
I tell you, that's the life, huh?
Oh, it is. It is.
So you mentioned NASCAR. Now, you said they are starting to let a couple of people in. Well, there was a big story, of course, with NASCAR a couple of weeks ago when they banned the Confederate flag. I thought that was a big sports story. Yeah,
that was a big leap by NASCAR. And it was that movement was kind of led by Bubba Wallace, the only African-American driver on the Cup circuit. And so NASCAR, they came out and they said they're going to ban the flag on all of their properties, their tracks. And now there are like parking areas around a lot of tracks that are controlled by the racetrack. So we'll see what happens at those properties. And also, how are they going to enforce the rule? Because a lot of fans, they drive their RVs, their trucks, buses into the infield and park for the weekend. And so once they're in place, they may unfurl a Confederate flag and hoist it up. So are they going to have Confederate flag police out there patrolling the area?
Right.
Interesting to see how they enforce that rule, that ban.
Yeah, because even though that is NASCAR property, that's also someone's personal property.
Yeah, and what about having a Confederate flag, patches on your clothing?
Exactly. Yeah.
How are they going to handle that? So, like everything else during this age of COVID, it's like, okay, working it out as we go along.
Yeah. So that wasn't anything they addressed in the initial decision to ban the Confederate flag from the tracks. They didn't make any decision about personal property.
No, the ban was just for, on the, the tracks and property around the track.
Right.
Just, they weren't going to allow the display of the Confederate flag.
We're talking to WIS TV News Sports Director Rick Henry about sports and COVID. You're watching Coping with COVID. I'm Tre Tailor. It's brought to you by SCDHEC and the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities. I want to remind you to please go to the Tailor Made Productions page, like and follow that page, because very soon we're going to be moving Coping with COVID from my personal page to the professional page. So Rick, all right. So, I did read, as far as NASCAR, that more fans that weekend after they made the decision to ban the Confederate flag, that more fans showed an interest, or more diverse fans showed an interest in NASCAR. Had you heard anything about that?
Well, I'll tell you, I've been covering NASCAR since 1981, and you have a lot of African Americans who like NASCAR and follow NASCAR. As a matter of fact, one of my childhood friends that I grew up with in McBee when I was working in Florence, he accompanied me to a lot of races in Darlington, Rockingham, and he made trips down to Daytona. And he was just really into it. You have a lot of fans like that, but maybe in the past they haven't felt comfortable going to the track because when you get near the track, one of the first things you see, the Confederate flag. And as an African American, when I see that flag, it's like, oh, hey, I'm not welcome here.
Exactly.
But for me, yeah, for me, because I was working in the garage area, in the media center, and after I established myself and folks saw that I was doing a really good job covering NASCAR, I like to tell folks the only color that matters down there where the teams are is green, money.
That's
So
right.
they knew by the fact that I was doing a good job covering NASCAR, it was giving them some exposure, especially before NASCAR reached the popularity that it did, say, back in the 1990s, and it became more of a national sport. They saw that, hey, this guy's giving us some good exposure, which can drum up more fan interest in this area and maybe sell a few more tickets to the racetrack, or, you know, make their sponsors even happier because their products are getting on the tube a little bit more.
Absolutely. Now, I know this has really affected school sports, high school, not only high school, but college. And in the SC education template, you know, they're kind of figuring out how kids are going to go back to school. What are they talking about as far as sports are concerned?
Well, it's very difficult, and a lot of questions remain out there, and you really have to feel empathy for the seniors of 2020, who had their, especially the spring sports people, who had their seasons cut short. You know, and the seniors don't get to enjoy their final year, the year where, after all the hard work and practice and sacrifices that they've made, it's their year to shine. Right now, like with high school football, I believe they can report back on June 29th, but then they're very limited in what they can do. I think they can get together in groups of maybe like about 10, and I think that includes like maybe 9 players, 1 coach, and you can only have that amount of people in a building or on a field at one time. And imagine football, you're practicing football, but you can't use a football.
Right.
Okay, that's like the first stage.
Yeah.
So mainly it's conditioning and, you know, just going over technique, their plays, and waiting for the second phase to kick in. I think they have like 3 different phases. And, you know, I talked to a coach just a little while ago, and he wants to remain optimistic, but when you look at the numbers of cases that are happening here in South Carolina, then you start to wonder. And what folks haven't worked out, this is for high schools, the colleges, the pros. What do you do when somebody on your team tests positive?
That's right.
Do you quarantine that player, or do you have to quarantine other players as well? And if, say, you played somebody on Saturday, Wednesday, you've got some COVID cases, do you have to notify the other team and say, hey, you may need to quarantine some people?
Yeah. I think the answer is yes. I think the answer is yes, yes, and yes, Rick. You know?
Yeah, well, that can have a big effect on your team.
Oh, yeah.
Like the University of Texas football team, the news came out, they had 13 players that tested positive. 13. Alabama had 5.
Right.
Clemson had 2. And, you know, we haven't even started, the guys haven't even had any contact practices yet.
Right.
And you can't practice football without having some contact.
Got to. Yeah, it's a contact sports.
Yeah, so there are just a lot of questions out there.
Yeah. Want to say hi to Maxine Moses and also Deborah Abraham. She says, hey, Rick, thank you so much for watching. Please continue to like and share this out so more people can see it. So, Rick, all right. So the quandary is what to do, you know, and so when are they going to make some kind of decision? At least let's talk about high school first, about high school sports, because again, I know they're trying to make some decisions about even kids going back to school. So are there any conversations or coming to any decisions as to what they're going to do and when they're going to make a decision? Okay.
What to do? First, let's jump back to the pros, right?
Yeah.
The NBA. Okay, their proposal is to bring the teams that made the cut to finish out the season, bring them all to Orlando at the sports complex at Disney World, where they would train, practice, and finish out the season. Okay, but they can't seem to get together because they haven't come up with a really, a plan again on what to do when you have players that test positive.
Right.
So they're going back and forth. The players and the owners, we're waiting to see if they're going to get started. Major League Baseball can't come to an agreement.
Right.
So again, everything is in limbo. And, the colleges and high schools, they're following along because they would like to get some kind of idea from how the professionals are handling this. The NFL, the National Football League, they've got some time on their side because they don't kick off until September. So they can wait and see a little bit longer than everyone else. But as far as the high schools, well, you mentioned the document that they sent out, the guidelines for the school district.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, I think they said they were leaving it up to the school districts mainly, to finalize their own guidelines.
Right, each school district.
So, right. So I guess the high school league and teams, they can't do anything really until they know what the school district is going to do, what their guidelines are going to be. Because again, I thought with this, I've talked about this with a number of people, mainly just friends, just throwing it out there. School buses.
Yeah.
Okay, they said they want to limit the number of kids who ride on a school bus, maybe 50% capacity. All right. What if one or two kids, they come down with the virus, the bus driver?
Right.
Okay, you quarantine everyone on the bus, and then wait a minute. What classes did these folks attend?
Oh, yeah.
What about their siblings? If we have someone in high school, they could have siblings in middle school, elementary school. Are they quarantining folks in their classrooms?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like never ending.
Yeah, it's a domino effect. Yeah.
And so again, the coach that I spoke to, it's like he doesn't know. They don't have those answers yet. Right now, they're just trying to see if they can get back on the field and practice.
In case, to be ready, just in case.
Yeah, they are, like I know the colleges, they're optimistic that they're going to play. Will they be able to start on time? I don't know. Because, most colleges kick off that first week in September. And in the Southeast, the virus is just raging right now.
Yes, it is.
And we got the 4th of July when more people are going to be out and about. We're seeing that Memorial Day kick in where a lot of people were out, enjoying themselves. And, it's not going to ease up for a while. So, I wish everyone would love to have some answers. Like if they do play, if the colleges play, will they have fans? How many fans will they have?
Right.
Will it be 5,000, 15,000, 20,000? Because you've got the social distance, everyone in the stands. You can't have people jammed up on each other.
That's
right. And I was talking to a sports information director for one of our local universities. And I said, how are you going to handle press conferences?
Right, yeah.
What are you going to do in the press box? How many people are you going to allow on the sidelines? So as you said earlier, our new normal, and sports will not be normal.
Right, not as we know it. Yeah, not as we have seen it, not the normal that we knew.
Right, and this may last through next spring.
Right.
Until we can get a vaccine. And if we don't get a vaccine by next spring, we may be talking about some of these same things a year from now.
Yeah.
I'm not a medical expert, but if you look at the numbers,
oh yeah,
not looking good.
No, they keep going up and up and up and up. And we'll talk to Ed McDowell about this in the next segment. people are not doing what they're supposed to do. People are not social distancing. They're not wearing their masks. So, according to Dr. Bell yesterday, who we had on the show, that is why our numbers continue to increase, because folks aren't doing what they're supposed to do. So I'm sure it's very difficult to navigate sports, because you're talking about children, with your high school sports, you're talking about kids. And of course you want to do, the best possible thing where young people are involved. College too. Those are young people too, for the most part.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the public service announcement I did.
I did.
Urging people to do what they need to do so we can have football.
Yes.
Like, if you're not concerned about your own safety, do it for the sake of football. Wash your hands,
right.
wear your mask, social distance. Because everybody wants to see football come back. And so if everyone does their part, and the whole thing about wearing a mask is you want to protect other people, because you could have the virus and not know it because you don't have any symptoms.
Yeah.
And you have to protect the vulnerable people in our population, the elderly and people with
underlying conditions.
Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, those are the ones who are suffering the most. So we have to protect them. And I was talking to someone yesterday, and I said they were optimistic that we'd have packed stadiums in the fall. I said, man, I can't see it, because just imagine you have packed stadiums, then those people return to their hometowns, their families, and USC Athletics Director Ray Tanner, he said in an earlier interview a few weeks ago that you don't want to be a spreader.
Right.
You don't want people looking back to you and
saying, you're the one that gave it to me. Yeah.
Hey, this is where that big outbreak started, because you had people jammed on top of each other watching this football game.
Yeah.
So, and if schools want to be responsible, I think that's one reason too why they're being really cautious.
Rick Henry is with us today on Coping with COVID. He is the sports director at WIS TV, and we're talking about the future of sports. Rick, Deborah Abraham has a question. She wants to know about her godson playing baseball. She says that they just played this past weekend. Deborah, what was that? Was that AAU or something like that? She didn't mention, but she said they just played this weekend. I don't know what they played or where they played, but
okay. How old is he, or what level?
Yeah, what level, Deborah? What level, and how old is he? While she types that up, I want to mention you mentioned a couple of things I want to go back to, Rick. The MLB, and I did read something yesterday that Dr. Fauci is recommending to Major League Baseball that if they start, that they wrap up by September, so that they don't get caught in cold and flu season, or the wave that we're expecting in the fall. And the players want to play till November. The owners want to play till October. Like I said, Dr. Fauci is saying you need to stop at September. So as you said, especially with the NBA, there's some inner turmoil.
Yeah, like the Major League Baseball players and the owners are going back and forth on like how many games they're going to play, the prorated salary. Yeah, because the players, they're concerned about their pocketbooks, especially the ones who, not the mega stars, making the really big salaries. So they're going back and forth with that. But yeah, you're right. If the longer they play into the fall, then the more they're going to be bumping up against cold and flu season.
Right.
And yeah, that could really be just awful. So yeah, but baseball, they need to do something. They've already burned 2.5 months. And they could get kind of lost in the shuffle, because you're going to have, if the NBA starts back and then football.
Right.
Baseball may become somewhat of an afterthought.
Exactly.
But yeah, they need to do something quick.
Yeah. But it looks like they're at a stalemate, though.
Yeah, it is. It's so they may not come back. There's a good chance the NBA may not come back.
Right. Now they were
Which
talking
would
about if they started back, it would be without fans, correct?
right. Yeah, without fans. You're talking about the NBA?
Yeah, the NBA. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the NBA. They're in Orlando without fans. And some of the players are against that. They don't like the idea of having to go to Orlando and stay in Orlando the whole time. Pretty much, it'd be like a summer camp, and you can't leave
Yeah.
the camp. You just have to stay there. And yeah,
It
that'd
just
be
seems
tough.
to me,
Stay
it
without
just
fans.
seems to me, Rick, that again, it's a sacrifice. And you made such a good point that a lot of this has to do with their salaries, because if they're not playing, and I think people are probably, there are some people like me that don't really even understand how they get paid. I guess I thought, and again, excuse my being naive about this, I figure they're getting paid whether they play or not. But you saying one of their concerns is if they don't play, they don't get paid.
Yeah, well, they've lumped some salary, and they want to know, their salaries are going to be prorated, so they're working out
Right.
all those terms. And and of course they want to recoup as much of their salaries as they can.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you may have some guys who maybe they're a little bit better off financially. They don't feel that urgency to get back out there, while someone else,
Right.
especially a rookie or someone who's only been in the league 1 or 2 years, it's like, hey, I need this paycheck.
Yeah. And
Like you
yeah.
take someone like LeBron James, he's not worried at all,
Right. Yeah.
about any money, because he made a ton of cash already. He has all of his endorsements. But you have someone, like a rookie or someone who's only been around for a couple of seasons, they want that money coming in.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And of course, you can't play a game that anybody wants to see without a mix of both. You got to have your veterans and your rookies in there too. So it's got to be
Yeah, but I
something that
think
everybody
that
agrees with.
if there's some guys who really don't want to play, and maybe there's some guys who have some underlying health conditions,
Mm-hmm.
or they don't feel safe. They said, okay, you
Wow.
don't have to play.
Wow. John Lakin says, hey, what's up, good people? Hey, John, thank you so much for watching Coping with COVID. Our WIS TV Sports Director, Rick Henry, joins us talking about all things sports and COVID. Deborah Abraham, Rick says he's 8 years old. He plays AAU in Augusta.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as they're following the guidelines, they have to be sanitizing all the equipment, the bats, helmets, baseballs. And I think in most guidelines I see, people can't share equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So, everyone has their own bat, and, social distance, can't be crowded up in a dugout or anything.
Yeah.
And so I would just make sure they're following those guidelines. And
Yeah.
I don't know, 8 years old, like, are they doing temperature checks and everything?
Yeah. And it's hard for little ones, to say, to tell kids don't touch each other, don't hug, don't do this. Little ones,
Oh, yeah. It's tough for grown-ups.
It is. It is. It is. And we're supposed to know better. Terry Brown says, what's important, economics or general health or the greater society? When COVID knocks on their door and it affects their loved ones, a totally different perspective will emerge. Terry, thank you so much for your comment.
Yeah, that's true. That's been the big debate, all through this. Like when you shut things down and the economy went south,
Mm-hmm.
and people need those paychecks, and also too, you have to try to keep people healthy. And now that they're open things back up, and I was just reading something, where some governors said, despite the increasing numbers, they're not going to close it down.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is. It is. But you know what, Rick? Knowing that you're right there, letting us know all about it, we feel good knowing that we'll know what's happening. Rick, so you're back at work now, because you said you were out. You were out of the studio for several months now.
Yeah, well, I took some time off because on March 16th when I saw that all the sports were shut down, and it's like there's nothing for me to cover. And I had a lot of leave time that has accrued over the years, and I said, hey, I'm going to the house. And originally I told them I'd be back on April 1st. Well, the week leading up to April 1st, everything was still shut down, and I called my news director, and we agreed, hey, I could just stay home. And so now things are starting to pick up a little bit more. And yeah, I was kind of bored of sitting around at the house for 3 months.
Because you couldn't go anywhere. It's not like you and Perrine could take some trips, right?
Yeah, you know, she works at Dutch Fork High School, and so she was at home. And early on, she said normally she would be excited about being off, being home, but you couldn't go anywhere.
Right.
You know, you were just we made the most of it while we were at home. Sometimes we just get in the car, take a ride. And most days, you know, we take walks around our neighborhood.
Yeah, that's
yeah, the big decisions for us most days, what are we having for dinner and what movie are we going to watch? Yeah, this is the longest break I've had from anything really since about 1977.
Wow. And you're ready to get back to work. Oh, you were ready to get back to work.
Oh, yeah. You know, you miss my work family, you know, the folks at WIS, and but still, you know, getting back in the building, and there's so few people there, and it was like very quiet, and you know, still we you know, waiting for everything to kick back up a little bit more, but you know, it's taking time.
Deborah Abraham says, "Let's go fishing, y'all."
Yeah, that's a good place to social distance. And on the golf course, I did play a good bit of golf while I was off.
Really? All right. Rick Henry, thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. I appreciate you taking time out of your day. If people want to keep up with you on social media, how can they do that?
Well, you know, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I post, do most of my posting on Twitter, Rick Henry 10. So just check me out there.
All right, Rick, thank you so much. Give my love to Perrine, your beautiful wife, and your family. And again, please come back and let us know if you have some sports to report.
All right. Hey, just watch me every evening, WIS 6, 7, and 11.
Willie Stevenson says, hi, Trey and Rick. He says, I'm a grandma, and I was just getting excited to see my grandson play league sports this fall. It's good to see Rick Henry back. She says she missed seeing you and Judy together on WIS.
Oh, yeah, we miss being together. Yeah, Judy and I were talking. It's like, okay, it's been 3 months since we've seen each other, and it's going to be a while, too, before they let everyone back into our building, you know, because the numbers are
right.
You know, continue to accelerate. So I don't know when we'll see each other, but we talk on the phone and text.
That's good. Good job. All right. Thank you, Rick, so much. I appreciate you. Take good care, darling.
All right. My pleasure.
All right. Okay, Rick Henry, WIS TV Sports Director, making history as the first African-American sports director in the state of South Carolina. You make us proud, man. Thank you.
Hey, well, thank you.
All righty. Coping with COVID is sponsored in part by the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. Please visit scdhec.gov for an updated list of testing sites and important information on how to protect yourself, your family, and your friends from the coronavirus. SCDHEC, healthy people, healthy communities. Also, the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities is a proud sponsor of Coping with COVID. They help meet the needs of small, minority, and women-owned businesses in the City of Columbia. Speaking about the City of Columbia, Ed McDowell is with us, our city councilman. He's all masked up and ready to go. He joins us on part 2 of Coping with COVID. And between COVID, Ed, and the racial unrest, the city, the state, the world, it is a changing. Ed, wait a minute. Are you protecting you home? You're in the house by yourself. Are you protecting yourself from yourself?
Well, I tell you, one of the things that I wanted to do was put on a mask,
right,
to illustrate the importance of wearing a mask.
Absolutely.
Now, if you would allow me, I'll take it off now.
But Ed, let me tell you something. I love the beard. I love it. I love the beard.
Thank you. Well,
I really do.
it's been a long 3 months, and of course, I just want to say a word of thanks to Rick Henry,
Yeah.
the information he shared with us, because social distancing, of course, has a critical effect on the persons that are being exposed, especially during sporting events.
Mm-hmm.
So, I come today to say the importance of wearing a mask is critically
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Uh, this virus continues to aggressively spread within the city and nation of ours. As you know, there are 16 cities that where we've seen an increase in the number of cases.
Mm-hmm.
2 days ago, 3 days ago, I won't say 3 days ago, I think the number of cases were up to 700 plus.
Yes.
The latest, the latest number of cases, of course, was I think it was 595 or 600. So the importance of keeping yourself safe, the importance of, as Dr. Bell has alluded to several times, this virus is continuing to localize itself through person to person contact.
Yeah.
And of course, the position of the city is to maintain or to help maintain an aura of health and safety.
Well, I tell you, I think was so responsible, so aggressive, so bold for the proposal to even come up to require face masks within the city. How did it come up in council meeting Tuesday, Ed?
Well, because of the number of cases that what we're looking at in South Carolina, we're looking at somewhere between 18 and 20 plus thousand cases.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about 22, maybe 2,300 cases in Richland County. It's continuing to rise.
Yeah.
That conversation comes out of discussion with my other colleagues about how can we help? How can we help put together something that is going to maintain and can't stop the spread of this, but we can at least help stop the
Yeah.
spread of this virus.
Yeah. And so, in addition to the fact that obviously you guys saw that our numbers are increasing in the city and in the state, you decided to do the proposal. Okay, let's talk about, let's consider just doing a mandatory face mask, because the other piece of this is folks are not wearing masks.
That's correct. Well, and that's regrettable. It's really regrettable.
Yeah, it is.
As for me and my house, we are trying.
Well, you and your house ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. And the places that I go, of course, it's within driving distance. I'll drive around, but I do not plan to be in a position or to say to anyone that you ought to do it's not normal anymore. It's a new normal.
Right.
And of course, city councils, please know this emphatically so. City council's role is to make sure that all of our citizens are safe, and that if persons aren't protecting themselves, we've had to do something to make sure that this possibility takes place. Now, I know that there are some who doesn't want to wear masks. We know that there are persons who will say unequivocally that putting on a mask is uncomfortable. But gee whiz, putting on a mask and abiding by the 6 feet distancing process is better than being 6 feet under.
That's right. That's right. Now, you want to have your 6 feet under or apart.
That's correct. That's correct. So our task on Tuesday will be to discuss this matter, further and perhaps be ready to sign on as a council, making this mandatory for all persons who are in the city. Please note, this is not a county effort. This is a city effort.
Mm-hmm.
The city has always been at the tip end of the sword.
Yeah.
Trying to say to others that it is impossible. It's possible, rather, to help us maintain social distancing and to wear masks. Now, I've been in places, I've driven around the city where I've seen groups of persons who are talking, who are interacting with each other, and the masks are not being worn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. You know, and like you said, not only are masks not being worn, people are not social distancing. Yesterday on the show, we had Dr. Linda Bell, as I mentioned to Rick a couple of times, and there were listeners, viewers that were saying, one gentleman said he was at his doctor's office and the people working in the doctor's office didn't have, well, they had a mask around their neck, which, you know, and as Dr. Bell said, you can't get it. You can't get it from your neck. So they were protecting nothing. Yeah. And he said, he asked one of the ladies, the receptionist, and she said, well, it's too thick. It's hot. This is a medical professional person. And so, and then another lady said that she was at her infusion center and those folks were not wearing masks. So it's a critical point. So Ed, so let me know, next Tuesday, when you guys have council meeting again, what are some of the things that you're going to be considering? What are some of the what issues are you weighing?
Well, primarily and most important is the health issue.
Mm-hmm.
The health issue.
We already know, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it doesn't take a genius to figure this out.
Yeah.
It's that the way we not stop the virus, but at least put ourselves in a protective stance, is to do that. That's the most important. We feel as a council that because we've had 600 plus deaths,
yeah,
every life is precious.
And Richland County we have the highest number of all of the states.
Absolutely.
I believe, yeah.
You're absolutely right. So why not legitimately discuss, above all of the other issues, the primary issue, of course, is health.
Right.
How can I maintain a sense of health? Now, I must admit, I have my own vicissitudes, my health vicissitudes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anything else to crawl or hit me because I'm not being conscious nor sensitive to what this virus can do and will do. I've had friends who are presently, they recovered with COVID-19.
Right.
But we have a significant number of folk who are still perhaps on ventilators.
Right. Yeah.
And who are, because of the large gathering, Trey, it poses a real health dilemma. So when we get together on Tuesday, in addition to what we will talk about in terms of mandatory masking, the primary issue that is very clear to me and to others is that of the health stance.
Right. Willie Stevenson says, yes, people need to wear masks. It should be mandatory for all establishments that patrons wear a mask and social distance. He says, as a Prisma Health Laboratory employee, as well as all employees, we have to wear masks for 8 to 12 hours a day. Hey, Willie, thank you for your comment. So next Tuesday, what time is council meeting, Ed? 6 o'clock?
2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. And not only will you all be meeting, you are inviting the public to make comments too.
Absolutely. That's the input that we need. Some will say, well, we're making decisions without public input. Mm-hmm. Of course, we want the public to speak. We want the public to have a voice in what I'm terming as a critical health issue. DHEC, Dr. Bell, of course, Dr. Bell was right on target.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot allow this virus to spread.
Yeah, any more than it has. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's large. It continues to get larger. And I want to thank Brother Willie for saying what he said just a moment ago.
Yeah.
It is increasingly important to wear that mask. Now, that does not necessarily mean that look, my hands, I wash them every day, every 2 hours. My wife will not let me go out the house without cleaning the doorknob.
You can't go out the house, period.
Yeah, I can't go out the house, period. And I appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. She's just looking out.
Absolutely. And I'm more conscious of that. But I want the citizens of South Carolina, and particularly the citizens of our city, to be in a position where they are not exposing us to anything and me exposing them to anything.
Right, right.
That's critically why I wear a mask.
Deborah Abraham says, have the meeting where more people can attend. Well, Deborah, it's online because you guys are not even meeting face-to-face yet.
That's correct.
Right. They're not meeting face-to-face, Deborah. But what you can do is, if you can see the information is scrolling, you can call 855, Tuesday at 2 o'clock, 855-925-2801. The code to enter the meeting is 9299. Now, if you want to just listen to the meeting, you can press 1. If you want to leave a message with your opinion, press 2. If you want to make a comment, press 3, and you'll be able to speak for 3 minutes. The information is scrolling at the bottom of the screen.
And just remember, we want information. We want input. We will not firmly decide on what needs to be done or what will take place on Tuesday until that kind of input, till we hear that kind of input. That's critical for us.
Oh, that's big though, Ed, because I mean, it is a issue that will affect everyone in the city. So, it's admirable that you, Steve, City Council, are, allowing the public to provide some input. So next Tuesday at 2 o'clock during the council meeting, the mandatory mask proposal will be discussed, and the public is encouraged to listen in and voice their opinion if they would like to.
Well, my particular stance right now, I want to hear, I want to listen, I want to digest everything that persons say, whether it's good or whether it's not good, whether you're on the line. We need your input, but we also need a city that is healthy. We need a city that continues to be the beacon on the hill. We need a city that is healthy. And our position is, let's help in making this city healthy.
Yeah. As you can see, the information is scrolling. It's next Tuesday, 2 o'clock. You see the number and the code to enter, and then definitely give your opinion if you have an opinion. So, Ed, would this also apply to food service workers? Because what's come up on the show a couple of times is also that there are restaurants in the city, that those employees are not wearing masks, and people are concerned. Obviously, of course, we're trying to support the economy by going to these restaurants. But if the employees are not wearing masks, I mean, I'm telling you, Dr. Bell said that she would suggest people not patronize any restaurants that do not, their employees do not wear masks, because, that's going to hit them where it hurts, which is in the economy and the pocketbook.
You're absolutely right, Trey. This ordinance is a comprehensive ordinance. It's a mandatory ordinance that will affect those persons who are in the food industry, those persons who are doing work where they ought to be wearing a mask. Now, remember, If caught without a mask, it's a misdemeanor.
And that's what I was going to ask you. What's the penalty?
Yeah, it's a misdemeanor. Yeah, if you're caught without a mask, it's a misdemeanor. And the offense shall be subject to penalties outlined by the city code section.
Okay.
I mean, it's.
So what does that mean, Ed?
Well,
does that mean you're going to get a $50 fine, or what does that mean?
Well, it doesn't mean that it's going to be financially.
You can't come out and play.
But
He's banned from, get in the house and stay in there.
Well, our mayor was during a few weeks ago. It was very clear about persons being in the city that was raising a bunch of sand in the city, and he was very clear about that. And of course,
he was.
Yeah, he was.
Take your hat and go.
Yeah. It's very clear to me, Trey, that some consequences will have to fall upon those persons.
Absolutely.
Who are persons walking around without signs. Now, without masks. Now, we understand that if it's going to be a misdemeanor, that means that CPD will have to do their work. That's perhaps is a part of that conversation we will have on Tuesday.
Right. Deborah Abraham says some of her drinking friends say they can't drink at the bar with a mask on. You know what, Ed? I've seen those masks. Have y'all seen these masks where they have a little hole for you to drink with a straw?
Center of the mask.
They have a little straw hole.
Well, to each his own.
Right.
That's not a part of the ordinance.
Drinking while masked. DWM. All right. So Ed, so it would apply if you're out in public. That's what it would imply if you're out in public.
Let me talk a little bit about Trey, and I'll just read a few. I'm looking at the ordinance.
Okay.
Of course, we are asking folk to use face covering or mask, is required by every person within the boundaries of the city of Columbia. The details are listed below, and I'd be more than glad to share that with anyone. It's about 9, maybe 10 of those things that are listed. I'd be glad to share that. Waiting to enter. I mean, anytime you're outside.
When you leave the house, put your mask on.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Anytime you're out, the bottom line is that anytime you leave the house, you need to have a mask on.
Have your mask on. Now, I know this is for the city of Columbia, within the city limits. And I know you're not a county, official, but do you know anything about what the county is considering?
Well, I have no earthly idea what the county plans to do. I understand, though, that there's conversation that has ensued within the county about this possibility. Please remember that the city of Columbia has been, and I hate to be, just to reiterate this point, the city has been at the tip of the sword.
I agree.
As it relates to leadership. Our mayor and other members, our other colleagues, we've been right on target.
You're right.
Some of this. And I think it has been to our advantage. Folk didn't like it. And of course, some will probably not like us doing this.
Oh yeah, people are going. Yeah, you're going to have some people that say it's my life. You taking away my freedom. People are going to say what they're going to say.
Well, and that's fine.
Exactly.
That's fine. But I want to say this very, very clearly and unalterably. I'm wearing a mask and I'm protecting myself from others because I'm not ready. I'm not homesick.
Right. I know that's right. I hear you. I want to see Jesus, but I ain't ready right now.
Yeah, I'm not homesick.
Yeah.
And I'm not ready to forge forth like we are in a state of normalcy. when we are experiencing a new normal. And this new normal has to do with wearing a mask.
Yeah. It's hard to understand, and I tell you, why people don't get it, or how people don't want to be more responsible. Seeing the proof, you see the numbers going up, even if you have not, if you don't know anyone that's been affected, you know. But you see, if you are watching any kind of, if you're up to date on what's going on, you know that the numbers are increasing. We are one of the states that has had a huge upsurge. So it is uncomfortable. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but it's just a small sacrifice to make to preserve not only your health, but the lives of somebody else.
So you're absolutely, and I couldn't have said it any better than what you just said. It is a question and an issue of health. It's an issue of whether or not you want to be exposed or is exposed to a virus that is very, very serious.
It is very serious.
And very deadly. Very deadly. The number of persons who contract this virus, from what I understand and from what I've listened to, is that it's a terrible dilemma that takes place in these, when this virus hits and contaminates their body. So put on a mask.
Yeah.
At least there is some protection. Some protection.
Yeah.
To isolate yourselves, some protection. And if we don't do that, then we're going to find ourselves in a terrible quagmire.
Yeah.
And we're not able to get these numbers in some kind of way to act as if they are normal. Put on your mask.
Yeah. So next Tuesday at 2 o'clock, the City of Columbia City Council is going to meet. They want you to provide your input. You can see the information scrolling at the bottom. Please call that number, share this information, and make your opinion known. Ed, thank you so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. I appreciate you so much coming on and telling us this great information. I'd love for you to come back, because I know that there were some other things that you guys talked about concerning some of the protesters and the marches. So I'd love for you to come back and kind of talk about that. If people want to keep up with you and for more information about things going on at the city, how can they do that?
Please, I'd be more than glad to give, you can have my telephone number. My number is 803-351-8747.
All right, 351-8747, 803 area code. Please continue to post and share out this important message to the masses, especially this information about the City Council meeting next Tuesday, because if you have an opinion about the mandatory mask policy, the City of Columbia wants to hear from you. Now, please be sure to follow and like me on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. Don't forget to go to the Tailor Made Production page, because we're going to move Coping with COVID from my personal page to the business page. So please make sure you like and follow me on Tailor Made Productions. Not only can you see Coping with COVID Monday through Saturday at 2 p.m., but you can get updated on all COVID related information. Now, if you have a message, a product, or a service that could help someone cope with COVID, please inbox me at Tailor Made Productions or email thetailormadeproductions@gmail.com. Let's talk about how you could be part of Coping with COVID. Tomorrow, Dr. Daniel Lackman with MUSC talks about COVID and high blood pressure. Saturday, how COVID is affecting events like weddings. We'll talk to a couple of couples who have had to alter their weddings post-COVID. And then Monday, Dr. Gerald Wilson talks about COVID and diabetes, COVID and diabetes. That and more coming up on Coping with COVID. Typically, I lead with a reading from Jesus Calling, but because City Councilman Ed McDowell is also Reverend Ed McDowell, we're going to leave with a prayer from him. Thank you, Ed.
Trey, let me just say a word of thanks to you and your continued efforts.
Thank you, Ed.
To get information out to our city. You provide a valuable service for us and to us. You've allowed each person to examine the issues and put the issues out there. And for that, we are very, very grateful for you and for what you do for our city. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Trey, I'd like to just paraphrase a passage of scripture, Philippians 4:13. I can do all things in him who gives us strength. Now, if there's strength needed and available, we need it right now. Is it available? Yes. Is it possible? Yes. We offer this prayer today, not only for this city of ours, but particularly for those persons who are under the umbrella of COVID-19, who face this situation, whether they're in hospitals or nursing homes, whether they're at home in quarantine. We pray for them today, but we pray for our city as we move forward. Let us bow our heads. Creator God, you're allowing each of us to serve, to sense, and to feel your presence in our lives during these difficult days. There are issues in our city and in our nation that tend to pull at the very fibers of our faith. We are continuing to socially distance ourselves. It's uncomfortable, and a new normal is forming or has formed so that the quality of lives are met and strengthened with your purpose and with your promise. Our faith is sure, and we stand firmly in that faith today. We thank Sister Tre for giving this community and this city an opportunity to spread the word. And we ask that the word be spread just as aggressively as it relates to the COVID-19 virus. Spread the word that it's necessary that in the midst of all of the vicissitudes, we do see things in him. We do give strength. He gives us strength and courage for the facing of these days, for difficult times, and for this time together. We say thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Amen. Thank you, Ed, so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
What you give and lend to the community also. And thank you for that beautiful prayer. Thank you guys again so much for joining us on Coping with COVID. It's brought to you in part by SCDHEC and also the City of Columbia Office of Business Opportunities. Until tomorrow, take care. God bless and mask up out there.
Thank you.